last summer, when July 4th, 2025, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act was passed, President Trump's signature tax bill, we broke down a lot of the key changes to entrepreneurs last summer in our episodes in August, September, and thereabout. Now that we're in 2026, let's talk through one of the big changes, which is charitable deductions. Specifically, every single taxpayer now has a 0.5% floor on charitable deductions. Said another way is that only if you contribute more than 0.5% of your adjusted gross income, which think about that as kind of like all the income that's reported on your tax return, then only the amount above that is actually deductible. Less than that, not even deductible. So there's new rules that entrepreneurs need to be aware of here.
Yeah, and let's put some numbers to that. So if you have $1 million of adjusted gross income, that means the first $5,000 that you donate, you get no charitable deduction for. If you make $2 million, the first $10,000 that you donate, you get zero charitable deduction for that.
What do you think the policy reason behind this is? This is one that I cannot figure out.
I believe that when they're trying to get the One Big Beautiful Bill through, they've got to make it pencil out with the budget and the 10-year projections and all those kinds of things. So even though they were continuing a lot of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they wanted to add some other things in here, like no tax on tips and some other stuff that they put in. And so to counteract that, they had to put something in there that was, positive to the budget. And so this is one easy way to do it. A lot of people didn't even know this happened, but this is a takeaway, because it used to be if you made $2 million last year, all of your charitable deduction counted. Now, if you make $2 million, the first $10,000 does not count. And that's taking back some of the tax benefits that you had last year.
Yeah, I think that you're probably right. It's just like what they would call a pay for in order to get some of these other stuff.
It's why so many of them expire and then some don't. The ones they make permanent, and I'm putting that in quotes, just means that it stays until another Congress and president changes the law. But making it permanent, that means that it has to play out in the tax code and the budgets for a long period of time. If it's temporary and it expires in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then it doesn't take as big a chunk out of trying to get it through without getting a larger percentage of Congress to vote yes.
Yeah, just like the no tax on tips and the car interest, new car interest, all that stuff is going to fall off.
It's why they do phase outs and they do all those other things, is to manage that part of it.
So that is obviously largely very impactful. So the 0.5% floor. On top of that, for our highest income entrepreneurs who are in the 37% tax bracket, which is the highest tax bracket, now the value of these deductions are only 35 cents on the dollar. And so what this says is that if you're in the highest tax bracket, normally if you did give a charitable contribution, you would get a deduction worth that 37 cents. So every $1 you donated to charity would save you 37 cents in taxes. Now it's 35%. So all the highest income earners are also now only getting, again, a deduction for 35 cents on the dollar. So another kind of zinger for the high income Americans and business owners.
Yeah, it's shaving a little bit off. That's what they're doing.
And then there is a 1% corporate deduction floor. So if you are a corporation, now it's not 0.5%. Again, that's not the personal level. Now there's a 1% floor for businesses. So if you're a corporation and you're donating, this would be a C corporation to be particular there, only contributions above 1% are deductible on your 1120 tax return.
Right.
And then there is some good news, I would say, to silver lining is normally you only get charitable deductions if you itemize on Schedule A. So if the total amount of your charitable contributions, mortgage interest, expenditures for healthcare, investment interest, state and local taxes, only if all of that in aggregation is larger than the standard deduction are you actually going to itemize on Schedule A. Now, there's a new rule here, though, that says that even if you are taking the standard deduction, you can still take $1,000 if single or $2,000 if married as an above-the-line charitable contribution. So that's a small workaround, I would say, for that 0.5% floor.
Yeah, and the standard deduction is $16,100 this year. So that's that number. And none of our entrepreneurs are taking the standard deduction.
Yep. Well, I would say none of them. If you are living in Texas, you're capped at $10,000 state and local taxes. Mm-hmm. And then if you have no mortgage on your home.
Well, you're capped because you make too much money.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
$40,000 unless you, and that phases out from $500 to $600.
And so if you're not charitably inclined and then you have no mortgage on your house And then if you're making $5 million, your charitable or your health expenditures have to be over 7.5% of $5 million. That's, over $350,000. So there's mortgage-free, debt-free, non-charitably inclined clients that still do the standard deduction.
I guess you're right. I stand corrected. We do have some clients that are doing the standard deduction.
But we'll talk. Most high income and affluent entrepreneurs and taxpayers are actually the most charitably inclined. So It is rare, but they are out there.
True.
So we're going to put up a chart here. This breaks this down just in a visual, an infographic. New 0.5% floor, 35% value of the deduction versus 37%, 1% corporate deduction floor. And then again, the little workaround here is if you are not itemizing, you can take $2,000 off the top if you're a married couple. So that being said, though, the question is will this decrease charitable spending? That was kind of where my thought was going, is that how many people are actually driven from the tax incentive? And I don't think it's probably that many people. I think most people want to tithe, for example, 10% because of their religious beliefs. Whether or not they get a tax deduction, I think is outside of the scope. But it'll be interesting to see that in 2024, Americans gave $592.5 billion to charity, so up 6.3% since 2023 or year over year. It'll be interesting to see when this data comes out really in 2026, which we won't see until 2027. Is there any type of dip in charitable giving because of some of these tax laws?
Yeah, I don't know if I completely agree that the deduction doesn't matter. I believe the deduction matters a lot. And what they're doing here is not enough to move the needle. But for example, if they limited your charitable deductions to $20,000 and no taxpayer could give more than that, I think you'd see a dramatic change. There'd still be a lot of people that would give, and some would give as much as they always give. But I think you'd see less, because I do think entrepreneurs pay attention to, hey, if I give away $100,000 in a 40% bracket, it saves me $40,000 in taxes. And that is an incentive. And I see that from entrepreneurs at the year end. They're like, hey, could I give some money to charity? Would that help my tax situation? I believe that this isn't enough to change it, but I believe if they completely eliminated the charitable deduction, you'd see a dramatic drop in how much goes to charity. That would be my belief anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you're spot on. I think this new change to the laws won't necessarily change anything, but I do agree there is a tipping point. So we'll throw a chart up here of where is the money going in 2024 to charities. You can see about 150 billion of it, or about a quarter of it, goes to religion, which makes sense for Christians. Tithing is a big part of some of the people within that religion.
Some people try to buy their way into heaven.
Yeah. Is it working for you?
I don't know.
The price just keeps going up every year.
How would I know?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
I got to wait to find out on that.
Human services is going to be number 2 at 90 billion. Education at 88 billion. I know education's a big place where you and Mimi like to contribute, make an impact. Grant making foundations, 72 billion. Then public society benefit, whatever that means. Health, international, arts, culture, humanities, and then environmental and animals. So you and Mimi are a little bit upside down in that animals, which is a big important piece for you, that's only 20 billion. And then I know education, 88 billion. So I think if I were to guess, that's where your money is going.
Yeah, education for sure would be our primary. We do have some other charities we believe in, like some stuff about child trafficking, Tim Tebow's foundation. There's some stuff that we believe in that we give to. Our biggest, though, is helping kids who don't have the financial wherewithal to get through college. So financially supporting them in that is our biggest thing. And we are animal lovers. I mean, we don't have a kid, we have a little dog, and I believe dogs are one of the greatest things on this earth. And I will always say that because they add so much value, have added a lot of value in my life anyway.
Yep, I can't agree more. The furry friends are so important.
Yeah, and they don't grow up and quit college on you. They don't get a drug addiction. They don't. I could go on and on, but there's things that kids do that dogs don't do.
Very true.